We're back in the Apex this weekend for UFC Fight Night. David Onama versus Steve Garcia. And this is definitely one of the cards of all time. The fights here are pretty hard for me to tape study, and a lot of lower level and just unreliable fighters on this card. However, after doing the study, I think there are some great betting opportunities as well on this card. So first of all, if you want all of my bets, click the Discord link in bio or comment Discord and let's make some money. Last week we profited 8.32 units, which for those who don't know what units are, if you're a $100 better, you would have profited $832, which is absolutely insane. So if you guys want to stop missing out on insane profits like that, join the Discord and let's go. Now let's get into the predictions. First fight, Talita Alencar versus Ariana Carnelossi. I'm going to pick Talita Alencar. I think she should have a grappling advantage, but this is one of those fights on this card that is unreliable and I don't really love betting on or picking wise. Carnelossi is very jacked. Her striking is alright. She is pretty stiff on the feet, but I do think her takedown defense is alright as well, but I think Alencar should have a clear grappling advantage. I like her to get takedowns, and I like the fight to go the distance, so give me Alencar by decision. Next, Phil Rowe versus Soyeon Ko. I like Soyeon Ko to get it done by decision in this fight, and this is one of my most confident picks on the card. I think Ko is the better fighter than Philip Rowe. We saw him as a massive underdog against Oban Elliott, get the takedowns going, look good on the feet with his pressure, and he simply dominated Oban Elliott. I don't know if I would say Phil Rowe is a better fighter than Oban Elliott. He looked alright in his last fight, good comeback win against Angelusa, but Phil Rowe's always had pretty average takedown defense. He can get caught big on the feet as well. He does have some good boxing. He is very long. When he lets his hands go, he is nice in combinations, but I think Ko will have a significant grappling advantage here. I think he should be able to take Phil Rowe down and hold him there for large portions of this fight. And even on the feet, I think he can have quite a lot of success with his power and explosiveness. So give me Ko by decision, one of my most confident picks on the card. Next, we got Elise Ardoin versus Montserrat Ruiz. And Elise should also have a grappling advantage in this fight. Pretty simple, Ruiz has been very inactive. She was never that good to begin with. She can get taken down. And Elise isn't some elite WMMA fighter, but she does have good wrestling. She's got a couple of good wins recently, and I think she's way more motivated. She's been way more active, and she's just better as well on top of that. So I like Elise by decision in that fight. Next, this is one of my most excited fights of the entire night, believe it or not. Caitlin Vieira versus Norma Dumont. I think Norma Dumont gets it done here. I think it looks very similar to her last fight, and I think she wins a 30-27 decision. Now, Caitlin Vieira is very solid. She's a very big bantamweight, and she has decent striking and very good wrestling. She gave Kayla Harrison a pretty tough fight, and that fight was actually relatively competitive. Caitlin Vieira has some great takedown defense, so I don't see Norma Dumont getting her grappling going. But Norma Dumont's striking has really looked good. In her last fight against Irene Aldana, she bloodied her up. She cutted her up, and Irene Aldana's face was a complete mess. And that's Irene Aldana, who is a very good striker in my opinion. Norma's pretty explosive. She has good speed in her hands, good kicks, and I like the intent she throws in her punches. Vieira is also a technically good striker, but she doesn't have the same intent or the volume that Norma Dumont has, and the willingness to inflict damage. I think Vieira does actually have a grappling advantage in this fight. She is a good wrestler and she's very heavy on top, but I think Dumont can stuff enough takedowns and add strike on the feet, winning a damage-based decision. I'm going to say a 30-27. Next, we got Dante Johnson versus Cedric Dumas, and everyone is putting Dante Johnson as a lock of the week, putting him in their parlays, and I will pick Dante Johnson, but I'm not super confident in that pick, even though Cedric Dumas, in my opinion, is not UFC level. He has alright grappling, but he can look like a fish out of water on the feet. He's been in jail. You don't know what to expect from him. Now, Dante Johnson, weirdly enough, is fighting at middleweight. Every single one of his 6 fights before this have been at heavyweight, which is super weird to me. He's 5'8", so he's definitely not a natural heavyweight. He looks like a middleweight, but pretty much his entire career he's just been knocking out fat blob heavyweights. So to see him move down to middleweight, I'm not sure how much success he will have. He does seem to be explosive. He is very green on the feet. He does leave openings as well, but he is explosive. He is powerful with his hooks inside. And Cedric Dumas really doesn't have any threat on the feet. So I'm going to say Dante Johnson is able to walk him down, throw his big hooks, and get a round 1 KO here. But I'm actually not going to bet on him at his price tag because he's still very green to me and there are a lot of question marks around him. Next, we got Timmy Kwamba versus Chang Ho Lee. I'm going to take Chang Ho Lee as an underdog to get it done by decision. They call this guy the Korean Khabib, and if you've watched him, you can see why. He is extremely relentless with his takedown attempts. He gets in the clinch, he throws knees, he pushes you up against the cage, and he'll fail his takedowns, but he'll find his way on top and grind you out, and he has some good ground and pound as well. Timmy Kwamba, on the other hand, is a pretty good fighter in my opinion. He has a good jab, he is fast, he's a technically good striker on the outside, but he has lacked volume throughout his career. In his last fight, he got a good victory against Roberto Romero where he was able to find a TKO, but before that he was consistently losing split decisions, really just not doing enough in his fights, not throwing enough damage. And I think Kwamba should have the striking advantage. He has a good jab, his boxing combos should be a lot crisper than Lee, whose striking is pretty questionable. But I think Lee will push the pace. He will get in the clinch. He will push him up against the cage. And he will get takedowns. And I like him to control him, land some ground and pound, and to win this fight by decision as an underdog. Let's go. Next, we got Billy Alakana versus Kevin Christian. I'm going to be real, I could not find much tape on Kevin Christian, so I'm going to pick Billy Alakana. Now, neither of these guys, in my opinion, are very good fighters. But Billy Alakana is coming off a win against Ibo Aslan in a fight where not much happened. But he does have the UFC experience. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to say he gets this one done. Next, moving on to the main card, Cody Durden versus Alan Nascimento. I'm going to pick Alan Nascimento to win this fight by submission. Now, Cody Durden is not a bad fighter at all. I like him a lot. He gets into a scrap. He is very tough, but if you look at his career trajectory, this guy, it's not aging well, and he's been taking a lot of damage in his past few fights. You look at his last few fights, knocked out by Bruno Silva in the second round, gets absolutely beat on by Joshua Van, and then after that gets KO'd brutally by Jose Chola in his last outing, and he's getting up there in age. I think he's finally starting to go downhill, and Alan Nascimento has been historically very inactive, but he's a very good grappler, and he's a very dangerous grappler. Cody Durden is also a good wrestler himself, but he has been submitted before. I like Alan Nascimento's grappling here. I think he will be a better grappler, especially on the ground. I think he'll be threatening submissions, and I think he can land a submission here. And even on the feet, it's pretty close. I think Alan Nascimento has pretty good technical kicks. Cody Durden might be the better boxer, but I think Alan Nascimento at this stage in his career, he's bigger, better grappler, and I think he gets it done here by submission pretty early on in this fight. Next, we got Charles Radke versus Daniel Frunze. I'm going to take Charles Radke by round 1 left hook knockout in this fight. Now, that is not a high confidence pick, but I do think this fight ends pretty early. Both of these guys are boxers who like to get on the inside, throw leather, big meaty hooks, overhands, and put their defense on the back burner. Now, Daniel Frunze got absolutely steamrolled in his last fight against Reese McKee, getting knocked down 3 times, and he really couldn't recover from there. Daniel Frunze, though, is pretty decent. He definitely has a lot of power in his hands, and you can tell if you've watched his regional scene fights. Charles Radke is the same. He has good technicals boxing, good pressure, and a nasty left hook. He has some serious KO potential himself. So I think these boys are going to be throwing hard, and pretty much whoever lands clean first should put the other out. And I think Charles Radke is a bit more technical, a bit better defensively. He's fought higher experience levels of competition, and I think he is just a better all-around striker and all-around boxer. So I like him to get it done early here with that left hook. Next, we got Isaac Dolgarian versus Yair Del Valle, and I'm going to pick Isaac Dolgarian in this matchup. Now, Yair is actually a good fighter. He's a good grappler himself. His striking on the feet is decent, but I really do rate Isaac Dolgarian pretty highly. He had that one loss against Christian Rodriguez where you can argue he won that fight, and other than that, his grappling has looked really good. Yair is a good fighter, but I think Isaac Dolgarian's grappling, he will be able to get this fight to the ground. He will be able to wrap up control, and I do think Yadier is definitely good enough to survive early on, but I think Isaac Dolgarian's grappling will get going, especially as the fight goes on. So give me Dolgarian by later round stoppage or decision. Next, we got Themba Greenberg versus Jeremiah Wells. And this is just two really unreliable guys, in my opinion, that I wouldn't have much confidence backing either way. Themba Greenberg looked good before that Vicente Luque fight in his past fights. He has decent grappling, his striking is okay, but overall, other than a couple of finishes he's really been just a lay and pray grappler inside the UFC. Jeremiah Wells has been very hit or miss. He's had a few good finishes, but he's also had a few bad performances and fights where he's shown to gas out. I think Themba maybe will be able to get the grappling going here, and I'm going to pick him to edge out a decision, but that is very low confidence. Now next, this is actually a really good fight. NT D'Elia versus Walter Cortez Acosta. I'm going to pick NT D'Elia by another round 1 knockout. Listen, Walter Cortez Acosta has been extremely durable throughout his UFC career. Throughout his career as a whole, this guy's never been finished. But I do think D'Elia's boxing flurries and speed is different to anyone he's ever fought. And in that Sergey Pavlovich fight, Waldo, while he did not get finished, he was dropping his hands, he was getting pressured back against the cage. I just think Pavlovich has lost that killer instinct as where if this was Pavlovich from a few years ago, he would be knocking Waldo out early. Now Waldo is a very good fighter. He has a good jab, his boxing fundamentals are decent, but this guy is an absolute decisionator, and I'm not just saying that. You look at his record, his only finishes are against Lucas Bresky and Ryan Spann when Ryan Spann was completely gassed out at the end of the second round. Other than that, this guy's whole game is land the jab, move, and do enough to win a decision. And I do not think that's going to work here against Ante D'Elia. D'Elia will have the speed advantage, in my opinion, though Waldo is actually pretty fast. He should have the power advantage, and I see him really getting aggressive here, and I think he gets it done early. But if this fight goes long, Waldo could have the better cardio. He could be able to get that jab going, and he could be able to win another decision, or maybe a late round stoppage, but I do think Waldo is a decision guy. As far as the grappling goes in this fight, we've seen D'Elia offensively grapple a lot more than Waldo Cortez Acosta in the past, but D'Elia's grappling isn't great in my opinion. I think Waldo has pretty good takedown defense himself, so I think the grappling cancels out. I think this is going to be a striking match. I would edge towards D'Elia getting an early rounds finish, but Waldo is definitely live here in this fight. And now we get on to the main event, David Onama versus Steve Garcia. Another very close fight. Two absolute finishers who love a war, but I'm going to take Steve Garcia to get a round 1 KO as well here in this fight. Now David Onama's good. He's a good striker, and his wrestling offensively has really impressed me. But one thing about Onama, this guy gets rocked and dropped a lot. You look throughout his career, in his last fight against Giga, rocked bad. Roberto Romero knocked him down in round 1 and nearly had him out of there. And he has just been hurt and dropped multiple times throughout his career. And Steve Garcia, this guy, I don't think his KO power is anything crazy, but when he gets you hurt, his killer instincts is absolutely off the charts. His ground and pound is great. His ability to finish when he smells blood in the water is elite. And I think David Onama, especially early on in fights with his guard, he does get hit clean and he does get rocked quite a bit. And I think Steve Garcia will be able to land early. And when he has him rocked, unlike David Onama's other opponents, I think Steve Garcia will be able to take advantage of this, land some heavy ground and pound, and get what I think will be a TKO decision. TKO finish early on in this fight. Now, on the flip side, David Onama could absolutely knock out Steve Garcia. As good and aggressive as Steve Garcia is, he leaves massive openings in the pocket to get countered clean when he's blitzing in with his shots. And David Onama is a hard hitter. He has speed. He has good power in his hooks on the inside. So Onama's also live for a KO here. And in the grappling, David Onama has been wrestling like a crazy guy lately. He's been shooting them takedowns. Maybe he went to Dagestan, I don't know. But he has been getting takedowns consistently and his grappling impresses me. So I will give him the grappling edge in this fight. I think Steve Garcia's takedown defense is decent. So I'm not sure if he'll go out here and maul him. But I definitely think grappling upside goes to Onama. But I can't ignore the defensive tendencies of Onama. And I do think Steve Garcia gets it done early here, but a pretty 50-50 fight that should definitely not go the distance. Now remember, if you want all of my bets, click the Discord link in bio or comment Discord and let's make some money. Let's go.